The Western Bulldogs had a relatively quiet overall draft period, selecting just the 3 players, all of which were in the national draft. First up was Jed Buslinger out of East Perth in WA, right after bidding on Jasper Fletcher. Michael, I know we had the conversation prior to the draft about the Dogs potentially bidding on Fletcher just purely because of the Dunkley deal. What did you make of that? And then Buslinger's selection.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously went perhaps a little bit early on pure value for Fletcher, but, why not make the clubs accountable? Obviously, they get Ashcroft and Fletcher for, not the biggest price. They're 2 quality players, so they made them saddle up and then went with Jed Buslinger, who obviously adds to that really promising young spine. They've got guys like Aaron Norden, Sam Darcy, Jamari Ugelhagen, who are pretty flexible, and Jed Buslinger as a key defender adds to that. He only played 2 national champs games this year, but got All-Australian status and was pegged as that probably leading key defender in the draft, and with pick 13 ends up as that.
Yeah, and then they went a little smaller for their next selection on night 2. They opted for Charlie Clark out of the Sandringham Dragons, a really energetic small forward.
He is, and he's one who's going to get the team up and about if you can kick goals, if you can get early games. He's just a really exciting type who celebrates and gets the others to get around him, So he's a real energy lifter, but he can play too. I mean, his instincts close to goal, they're just really natural. And he also has scope to play in midfield. Obviously, the Doggies' midfield is pretty deep, so you'd probably see him more as a forward, to be honest. But yeah, he's one who was pretty highly touted by a few clubs in the same range.
And then wrapping up their draft, they picked up a player who was a small forward, then moved back and has spent time in midfield with some ridiculous numbers late in the NAB League season. Bendigo Pioneers overager Harvey Gallagher.
Yeah, another guy who was really glad to see go. Obviously, I think the first 19-year-old off the board this year, and for good reason. So that move back just did wonders for him. He was like a player reborn, racked up massive numbers, still kicked goals from essentially the half-back flank, got his chance to Vic Country, and deservedly gets a chance at AFL level. So he's going to bring some really good class and running capacity from behind the ball, and he's one who could also still use those points of difference as a midfielder or small forward as well. So a handy pickup.